Five. All right, so now did she, okay, so now I gotta make sure we're muted. Hold on. Can you go to your Zoom screen? Yeah, can you go on the block? Mute. That's why they can hear us mute. Just, you want to click on it, not on the arrows. No, you don't want to unmute.
I think you can record on mute.
Yep.
And not Bob Ives, Don will be zooming in.
Okay.
We did see him today.
So do I have to,
So this
do I
is-
have to accept him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You'll have to admit him. So this is the one where they're going to hear the meeting and they're going to hear the sound. So when you get ready to start the meeting, you're going to unmute it here.
What in the world?
That's
This is
stubborn.
awful. You were listening, right?
So there's
What?
someone on there, it's probably Dawn, it says 2 participants.
No, that's the meeting, this room and the
Oh,
laptop.
Host, yeah.
okay.
Oh, Tom.
You have to unmute it from you.
Yeah, let's see.
Just love technology.
There we go.
But I'm glad somebody does.
There you go.
Oh, sucks. Unmute on TV.
Oh. There we go. Whoops.
Yeah.
It's already
It
unmuted.
is, okay. And now.
Unmute Dawn, if you can, or is it maybe he's done it.
Ask him if, Dawn, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear
All
me?
right, perfect. Thank you so much.
I can't see you though.
You don't have to see anything. You just. No, you're good. You should be all set.
Okay.
Again, just text me. I'm still down in the hall too.
So you're recording? All right. Okay, the regular meeting of the Bow Zoning Board of Adjustment will come to order. We'll begin with introductions. My name is Harry Hadaway. I'm the chair.
Bob Ives, Vice Chair.
Joseph Conti, alternate member.
Steve Buckley, regular member.
June Branscombe, alternate member.
Michael O'Neill, regular member.
Don Burns, secretary.
Barbara Hayes, recording secretary.
Can you turn his volume up at all?
On him.
Just realized I can't see you guys. Can you turn him up?
Speak up, Doug.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Speak a little louder.
Is it his
That's loud.
volume or ours?
The bottom right of that,
Still gonna
the
try.
bottom right of that screen looks low.
Okay, there we go.
This is the computer
This
volume.
mouse is hard. Okay, hold on. First we gotta turn this.
Is
camera-
it possible to give me video? I can't see you.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Bottom left, this can be the start the video.
Let's start video. There
And then
you
we
go.
can do the volume on the bottom right. So it looks like the computer volume is low.
There's such a, yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to. The
The
mouse won't
mouse
move.
doesn't want to move.
No. Come on.
So close.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
All right,
Hey,
so now let me
Hey.
see if I can.
hi,
get to-
everybody. How are you?
Good.
Oh, this mouse is old.
Technology.
So close.
There you go. All right,
Is that better, Dawn?
Oh, yeah, I can.
all right, great.
Sorry to cause you so much trouble.
Oh, no worries.
So all the regular members will be voting. And Don, you want to say something?
I
about
would
the
if I
plan?
may. As you know, it's getting to be routine. My wife and I, and particularly my wife, are in high-risk categories with respect to COVID. My wife is immunocompromised, and I just can't afford to run the risk of bringing the disease back to my home. And so for that reason, I've concluded that it's unsafe for both of us for me to attend the ZBA meetings in person, that my attendance is not reasonably practical within the meaning of RSA 91-A:2, Roman numeral 3. And therefore I would request that the ZBA permit me, as they have in the past, to participate remotely in this meeting.
Steve, would you want to make a motion?
Make that motion to let Mr. Burns appear remotely because his attendance is not reasonably practical under the circumstances.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Do we need a roll call?
We do.
Okay. I vote aye.
Bob Ives, aye.
Steve Buckley, aye.
Michael O'Neill, aye.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I am also supposed to tell you if anybody else is present with me and nobody else is. I'm in this part of the house anyway. My wife is downstairs, but I am alone here.
Okay. So our public hearing case today is case number 104-22V. Donna L. and Peter D. Holden, variance to Article 5.11 of the Bow zoning ordinance to construct a storage building in addition to other existing building as accessory uses without permitted principal use in the rural district, property located at Block 4, Lot 122-A, located at 78 Brown Hill Road. And we had a site walk began at around 6:15, and everyone here attended. For someone to speak to this case. You want to introduce yourself and have a seat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Cronin. I'm with Cronin, Bissell and Zelinski in Manchester, representing the applicant tonight. Peter Holden, who was with us on the site walk, is also present and can answer some questions. Just to review the site walk, we had a nice tour. One, I probably shouldn't go with my tree allergies in the spring. I have a tough time for the next couple of weeks, so bear with me. But went up and took a look at the property, which gave everyone a firsthand view of what's proposed and what's going on up there. During the site work, there was some concerns about Dunbarton and notice. We believe that all of the appropriate abutters were noticed, and it's probably not an issue of regional impact, but we don't want to run the risk of going through this process and then having somebody complain. Likewise, when we came tonight, we were thinking that it would make the variance a little bit easier to grant if we were willing to agree to a condition that would prohibit the sale of either one of those lots without a primary structure being built on the subject lot. We had some discussion about that, of whether it was appropriate or not. And certainly I agree with Member Buckley that generally speaking, that a variance is perpetual and runs with the land. Had a number of cases where there's been consensual agreement by the property owner to a condition that would term it out. That's never been resisted before, but I understand there may be a legitimate concern. So I talked to Mr. Holden after the walk and said, maybe we should revisit that. See if there's some supporting authority or some alternative we could do to propose a condition. So we're not running into a situation where people have concerns about it long term. So our suggestion tonight is maybe we table this to a date certain, being the next meeting, notify Dunbarton whether it's necessary or not. And that would give us some time to take a look if there's a way that we could come up with a condition that's suitable to the board that may remove some concerns of a long-term use of that lot without a primary structure.
Questions for the applicant?
All I would say, it's appropriate also because I noticed that the abutter was unable to attend tonight and made known his request that the matter be continued to a date when they could be here. Hopefully that will be consistent with whatever date is scheduled for the future. So I think it's a reasonable request to continue this to perhaps the next board meeting, assuming, again, that that's suitable, we're all concerned.
So someone would want to make a motion in that regard?
I would move we continue this to the third Tuesday of June. That would be our next meeting, correct? As at the request of the applicant as stated by Attorney Cronin.
And that Dunbarton be notified or,
Well,
or that, is that routine or?
well, I, whether or not Dunbarton needs to be notified, I think the question is under RSA 674-53, when you have a division of land on a municipal boundary, to what degree does that result in, I mean, I suppose the variance could be limited to just the tax map lot in Bow and not obviously extend across the boundary because it's one parcel. So that's probably not an issue, but sending notice to Dunbarton eliminates all doubt that there is someone could argue this was a project of regional impact.
They probably won't have an interest, but they should be notified.
We don't have an issue with it, and the condition that Attorney Buckley suggests, if we get to that at the next meeting, certainly limiting it to the Bow portion of the property. That's all we proposed, all we intended, and we're not looking for any relief to extend beyond the town line.
Okay.
But we have no issue with notifying Dunbarton. I'd rather if they had an issue that we know it now than after the fact and complain that they didn't get notice.
Well, I would just would say, I mean, at some point, I don't know if the parcel in Dunbarton probably doesn't have frontage in Dunbarton, that would only have frontage in Bow. So the only issue would be for Bow having a property in Dunbarton that's going to only have access through the town of Bow. But that's just an access issue. I don't know that that's really material to us in deciding whether to grant the variance or not.
Mhm.
I mean, again, I'm assuming there's no frontage in
I
Dunbarton.
think you're correct. I just
So
checked with Mr. Holden. And
It's just going to be, the house that they want to build there in the future would be in Dunbarton, and it would be taxed in Dunbarton. Now, I suppose Dunbarton might be concerned, or, we did this not too long ago in Concord, where there was a subdivision off of Hooksett Turnpike.
Mhm.
We had to make an arrangement with Concord to agree that that would be serviced by Town of Bow emergency services, even though it's located in Concord. So that kind of arrangement can be made. But that's in part why it's prudent to notify Dunbarton, because I think the more of the burden of that situation would be on the town of Bow. We would be servicing a property located in Dunbarton and not collecting taxes from the property in Dunbarton. But those are things we can discuss at a later time.
Okay. Do I have a second to the motion?
Can I speak before there's a second? So I
Go
think it's important to note that new notice, because I know there is a concern of butter here. New notice does not go out with this extension being granted. So I think that's just important to, we're not going to get a second site walk or a re-notification or a new abutters notification because of the change of date. So I think that's just something that's important to have on the record.
Right, so that's true.
This is the record.
Well,
essentially.
what I suppose, but that statute, I guess, let's just talk about that for a second. Under 676(7), you don't have to give another notice of a continued public hearing if you open the public hearing, but the public hearing here hasn't been opened. So I'm not sure we could skip giving a butter notification. That's some expense to the applicant, of course. But I think at a minimum, as a courtesy to Mr. Shepherd, we would at minimum send him some kind of first-class mail saying the hearing has been continued. I'm just not sure about the new abutter notification off the top of my head. I would defer to Attorney Cronin what he thinks that would be doable because technically we didn't open the public hearing. So how do we continue it when we haven't? Usually that's a situation where you've opened a public hearing and you continue it and the people are here, but that's not sure that applies in this situation.
It's an interesting issue. It comes up a lot in towns where they have a big agenda. So very often, say in a Wyndham or a Pelham or Manchester, they have a number of cases and they don't get reached. 10 o'clock or 11 moratorium. They continue those to a date certain and they don't even get close to opening them. You might be case 22 and they only get to 15, but I've never seen that they require additional notice. I'm going to talk to Mr. Holden. I don't know how many there are on the sheet off the top of my head. And certainly we will talk with whoever the clerk is and see how they want us to do notice, and probably do it in the typical way, either through us or let the town do it and give them the costs for doing it. And if it's not that big a deal, we may make an election. That's not my call to make, but I'll talk to Mr. Holden about it and proceed that way. I don't think it's necessary, but it may be a good.
Is that?
Yeah, that satisfies my concern.
So do I have a second?
I'll second the motion Steve made to continue the hearing to the
The date, I don't know what the date off the top of my head is. What is that, June date?
June 21?
June 21.
June 21.
Any additional discussion? Okay, let's vote. Don,
Don Burns, aye.
Bob Ives, aye.
Steve Buckley, aye.
Mike O'Neill, aye.
okay. See you
Right.
next month.
See you next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess we have review of minutes. Any-
Someone had some questions.
Dawn, did you have some?
Oh,
edits?
yeah, I don't know if Barbara, I don't know if you got my email. There's a typo
I
on,
emailed you back.
oh,
I understood 34. I didn't see on line 51.
well, I'll have to look again.
Line 51.
Can you just share that with us?
Well, that's because I said the wrong number. How's that?
So on line 34.
Where am I?
it should be impervious.
Right, that's just a typo.
Yeah. And then where was the second one?
Oh,
Typo?
81. I'm
30
sorry, 81.
So
Imperious
on
should
line
be impervious.
34, I'd like to reclaim it by removing the imperious and giving it the impervious.
Probably it is imperious too,
Very
but I'm not sure.
Oh, I see. 80 is B and it goes into line 81.
81, yeah.
The place structure. So the should be taken out.
Yeah, unless that screws up the actual order that's of record, then I wouldn't touch it. But I think that's superfluous and I don't think that was in Steve's motion.
Right, it should say two place structures, not two place the structures.
Yeah, okay, you could just move the.
Yeah. And just above that on line 91, line 79, it should just read RSA chapter 483 dash capital letter B, not colon.
Dash.
And then on line 75, I think it should read, you've got, this is just Dr. Verbiage, but it should read that Mr. Buckley made a motion to approve the setback variance. So take out the motion to approve.
All right, I missed that, yeah.
We want to make a motion to approve the minutes as edited.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Those in favor?
John Burns, aye.
Bob Ives, aye.
Steve Buckley, aye.
Mike O'Neill, aye.
And I'm not sure when, usually after town meeting, we have an election of officers. Maybe you could check on that for the next meeting. Any other business?
Could I ask a question?
Sure, you can ask all the questions you want.
Thank you. I hope I'm not opening a can of worms, but it came to my mind that what I was looking at when I was visiting that lot is that there's a business being run on this lot, and does that affect the zoning or? You know, what are you doing here? We're building windows. I'm trying to understand the zoning rules and residential.
Yeah.
Maybe we should save this when the applicant is here and get into
Okay.
it substantively as a,
Okay,
they have a,
I don't know exactly how to handle it. It's a question I had. And that would be a question for the applicant.
yeah, at the time, yeah.
Especially with the building that they're gonna put the addition on too.
I mean, who knows whether this work they're doing is mill work for their own property or for sale to customers? I don't know, but you certainly can inquire
Okay,
when the time comes.
okay.
I have a feeling we might have probably will have the abutter here at that next meeting too.
Right, and I'm sure might have some enlightening additional information.
And from his letter, he's kind of inferring that
Right,
also.
There's a tricky element to this as well, in that we are ruling on why the building permit was not granted. And that was not the reason the building permit was not granted. So there's a structural issue we should think about.
but we should wait until.
We should wait until they're- yes.
They are here in the room.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we can't. Yeah. But food for thought.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All in
Bob,
favor?
Bob, you just
Aye.
got
I
here.
think we
Now you
need-
want to
You don't
adjourn.
need to have a roll call.
Oh, everyone's here and we're gonna
All
propose.
7 for the first time.
First time I show up, I adjourn the meeting.
They must have been afraid of you.
Good night.
Good night, Don. Thanks, Don.
We'll see ya.
He should take the fishing. What's going on?
I don't know, I'm gonna find out tomorrow. Yeah, really. He's waiting in his office.
Exactly. Good night, all.
Good night.
Take him,